a minute introductions of ourselves. Obviously, I'll introduce myself last. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Tracy. And Tracy, if you don't mind to do a short introduction.
I'm the other Tracy. I was diagnosed May 12th of 2020 with triple negative breast cancer after 10 years of knowing that I was BRCA1 positive. I think I actually took my cancer diagnosis easier than my BRCA1 positive test, because when I tested positive for BRCA1, it was like almost this, like, I'm just waiting to get cancer. And then when I did, it was like, okay, well, I got cancer. So I finished chemo, chemo infusions, October 26th. I got my double mastectomy with expanders, November 18th. I finished radiation yesterday, and I'm still on Keytruda, and I started Xeloda this Monday. So hopefully no more than 6 months of those two together, if my stomach can handle it, and then my exchange surgery, and God willing, that goes well, and that's it. So that's me.
Perfect.
Oh, two little kids.
Two very little kids she has.
Yeah.
Inspiration to, I think, a lot of women in our community. You know, she's fought through with her two kids and her husband and her mom. It's been amazing to see your journey and the strides that you've made. I know recently you have taken upon a new journey. You know, you ran before, but bringing in and making sure that women know what to do post treatment and how to work out, I think is just an amazing inspiration to us. And we're super grateful to even be able to work together and then, you know, help other women. I think that's really exciting on the new programs that we'll be able to help.
Thank you. Yeah, I had to find some way that I could continue to be involved and give back.
Definitely.
To a community that's given me so much.
I think, you know, our journeys give us our passion, right? Like, we're put through this journey, and now once we figure out the little do's and the don'ts and what we need to do to strive, you know, creating it to be a journey and just giving back, like you said.
Yeah.
Thank you again. Good morning, Lakeisha. If you don't mind to do a introduction, it's great to see you, and I love your background.
Yeah. Good morning. Thank you. Well, my name is Lakeisha. I am currently a metastatic breast cancer patient. I was originally diagnosed in 2011 with early stage 1. 2018, I had another local reoccurrence, stage 1 again. And then 2019, I became metastatic with mets to the liver and bones. I am also the co-founder of the nonprofit organization Pink Shoes Inc., which offers assistance to women in active treatment for breast cancer. And that's about it for me.
Perfect.
Pink Shoes Inc. or Pink Shoes Inc.?
Pink Shoes Inc.
Lakeisha, if you want to put it in the chat, that would be awesome if you don't mind. And you'll actually see Tracy, we featured her before on our website, and she'll be in some of our stuff coming up this week where you'll see and be able to follow her. She is an amazing organization. I love it. She's helped several of our BRCA community. You know, obviously there's a lot of communities out there and different nonprofits, but like coming together and being able to obviously in different areas, I think is so important. And Lakeisha can offer different services that we can't. And you know, when Lakeisha has women that we fund, we definitely can do that. So, good morning, Jean. If you don't mind to do a short introduction. So the reason we do introductions, ladies, is just so everybody's familiar with everybody on the call. I think it's really important. If you're not able to do an introduction, please send me a message. If not, unfortunately, we will remove everybody from the call just because this is a safe zone and we need to make sure that everybody's on the call for the same purpose that we are. So, sorry about that, ladies, just figured. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Tracy Milgram, the founder of BRCA Strong, where we inspire, educate, advocate, and support survivors, and thrivers, regardless of genetic predisposition, to eliminate the feeling of isolation and help you feel whole again. We do that by funding women post-mastectomy garments, lymphedema sleeves, and mastectomy pillows. We are super excited. On Monday, we will be relaunching. So please stay tuned for all of our new programs that we'll be offering in our community. And again, please follow myself or Dr. Lucette. We have Dr. Lucette, a psychologist, on the phone with us this morning. We are going to talk about life in general and getting through it, no matter what the difficult times are with a diagnosis or somebody dealing with it. So thank you again, Dr. Lucette, for coming on and joining us again. We're excited for part 2 workshop.
Hey, thanks, Tracy. Hi, everyone. Hi. Tracy too, Lakeisha, Jean. I am Dr. Lucette. I've known Tracy for a little bit over a year now. We haven't met in person yet, but I feel like I know you. I'm a psychologist in Miami, and I feel very passionate about helping people who either live with cancer or, chronic illness or chronic health issues in general, and also those who love and support them, because it just impacts everyone. So that can be a rough ride. And I have a family history of ovarian cancer and other types of cancer. So I've been on the other side as well, as a caregiver. And today I want to talk about values. And actually, let me share my screen. I guess that's what I meant to be.
Let me make you a co-host.
Oh, yeah, I think you need to.
Sorry. Good morning, Jean. Good to see you.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you. If you don't mind,
Thank goodness.
Can you do a short introduction by chance? Would you mind?
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. I'm Jean. I look like a hot mess this morning. I apologize, but I am 2 days from my exchange surgery, and I'm BRCA1 positive. I thankfully didn't actually get cancer, but I took all the steps to hopefully kick cancer's butt before it could kick mine. And I just happened upon this group yesterday, which yesterday was a really, really hard day with pain and everything. And so it was like, seems like maybe I should hop on this Zoom today to see if there's, I don't know, something for me, because I'm struggling.
Well, definitely you're not alone, and you're in the right place, and we come together. We're here to support one another and guide one another. Everybody's journey is different. And, sometimes we go to isolation and we don't realize that there's people out there to help you. So I appreciate you taking that step and wanting to join the call, and just know you're not alone. And I'd be happy to connect with you after the call and see what ways we can help you. And I'm sure the other women would be supportive and open their windows to you as well. As we're a sisterhood, and it's sometimes hard for us to step out, but you took the first step, I think, and you joined somewhere that you didn't know what was going on. And today's workshop, I think you could probably really benefit from, like all of us. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate you joining.
Thank you.
Perfect. So, Dr. Lucette, you want to?
Welcome, Jean. And I'm hoping that this workshop can serve as a place to reflect and kind of have a good discussion. I want this to be interactive, so I might ask you if you feel comfortable sharing in the chat, as I'm going to ask you some questions. And I'm hoping to give you some bite-sized information on like how to identify your values and maybe kind of reconnect with some of the things that may be more difficult to access when you are when you have cancer, or when you have genetic predisposition for cancer, and you feel that a lot of the things are taken away from you that are important to you. So that's kind of my hope for this workshop. But feel free to interrupt, especially since it's a small group, and ask questions. I want this to be kind of useful for all of you. And
before Dr. Lucette gets started, I just want to say, this is no medical advice given. We're all just here trying to support one another. So after the call, if you guys have any questions, you should probably just reach out to a counselor or to one of us to try to guide you what your next step is. But I just wanted to say that, this really isn't any medical advice. This is just trying to help us from a psychologist standpoint of view and putting it to our world, So sorry about that, Dr. Lucette.
No, that was a good addition. Thank you, Tracy. And so I'm hoping that you can, if you all have a piece of paper, sticky note, a notebook, it doesn't have to be anything fancy, but a little piece of paper or in your phone or somewhere where you can write. And I wanted to do that first little kind of exercise. And if you could just take a few moments to write things down when you see that, like I am a or I am an, what comes to mind. So if you can jot down some things that come to mind. I'll do it with you as well. And as you're writing this, if you want to share some of the things that came to mind in the chat box, you're welcome to. You don't have to. You can just kind of share them out loud. Survivor, badass, scared, hopeful, person, mother, wife, woman, survivor. Yeah. And I think wife, mother, woman, and daughter. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, everyone. And I think with this exercise, what I like to emphasize is that I often see that there's a lot more that comes up rather than just, I'm a cancer survivor, or I am a cancer thriver or previvor, or, caregiver. There's a lot more to who we are than just those that diagnosis or the health issues. But yet when we get that diagnosis, it can feel like it's kind of canceling everything out, and it just feel overwhelming. We may feel very lost at times, very overwhelmed, and very, very anxious at different point in your journey. So it really feels that the cancer or those genes that we have are kind of the most salient part of the story. So this is kind of a starting point to think about, okay, what makes me unique, what makes me different, and what's important to me. And oftentimes, a lot of things will come up. I think the most common are kind of our roles, like being a mom, being a mother, a daughter, being a partner, a friend. Sometimes people will say, I'm a problem solver, I'm an optimist, I'm a morning person, a dog mom. So a lot of different things that go beyond having cancer or having genetic predisposition. And I'm still having that issue with the chat, Tracy. So I may or may not always see it.
Hold on. Can you see it now?
Yes, I see it now. My Zoom is very, I don't know. I think I need to do an update, but
I minimized it and I forgot that we're sharing screens. Sorry.
Okay. And yeah, Tracy, your mom, survivor, hopeful. Yeah. Dedicated to make a difference in your hurting. Yeah. And I think, it's important to highlight as well that there are things, that make up our identity, that maybe things that we deem positive and things that may be a little bit more uncomfortable or difficult to navigate. And all of these kind of make up who we are. And, on this next slide, I think, so, that's something that I say, but I will kind of I'll add to it in a minute. So you're not your diagnosis. We are not our genes. We're not our cancer diagnosis or any other, diagnosis. We're not our chronic pain. We're a lot more than that, right? But I think yet it's important still to keep in mind that that this is part of the story, right? And again, as I was saying a few minutes ago, when we get diagnosed or with, let's say you're BRCA1 positive or you have cancer, it feels that all of the other components of our identity, being a woman, a mom, an artist, everything is kind of put on the back burner, and everything is all about the diagnosis, the treatments, and kind of, making decisions are oftentimes difficult. So, to the point of you're not your diagnosis, it is true, but I think also it would be kind of naive to just assume that we can ignore it and kind of separate it from who we are. And I think maybe a more helpful way to see this is, kind of understanding and recognizing that this is part of the story to some extent, and that we are a woman, and all those things that you mentioned, being a badass and being hopeful and being, an advocate for others, and also having, being BRCA2 positive. And I feel that, oftentimes when we try to just kind of ignore that or separate it completely from our identity, that can create a lot of distress, because it's not oftentimes not possible. And feel free to, any questions so far, any comments as we're talking about this? Anything comes to mind?
I just strongly identify with what you're saying, because I did feel like when I first got diagnosed with cancer, it took away a lot of my identity. Mm-hmm. And so that's part of why I try to stay so active, because that has always been a really big part of my identity, pre-BRCA gene knowledge of it, pre-cancer, pre-everything, and try to really keep that part of myself. So
I try to do the same. I try to disconnect myself sometimes from cancer to save my own sanity. Because sometimes it gets so overwhelming, and everything is like cancer. Especially for me, I've been dealing with this since 2011. So it's literally 10 years, and now I'm metastatic, and it's been my whole 30s. I've been dealing with breast cancer. Now I'm about to be 42 and I'm still dealing with it. It's just, sometimes I want to just run away from it or just disconnect. I try to keep them, because I do have a nonprofit and it's a breast cancer organization. So I have to be active and, post on my page, on my organization's page, but I try to keep my personal page separate. I don't want that to be just cancer. I try to only follow people that I know in real life when it's related to cancer, because sometimes it just becomes overwhelming. You see people in hospital beds, you see somebody saying RIP, and it just gets to be too much for me. So I try to disconnect from it a lot of times, actually.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think you're right, both of you, in that sense that there's a lot that's taken away from you when you get that diagnosis. And it kind of shifts everything from your self-identity, but also the way you see the world. Oftentimes we see the world as a place that's safe and just, and all of a sudden it feels very unfair. And, it changes the way it changes relationship, right? Not only your relationship to yourself, but also the way your expectation for others, also the way people see you, where I remember someone telling me, I used to be the problem solver. People would go to me when there was an issue, and all of a sudden people were kind of walking on eggshells around me because I had cancer. So I had become that kind of fragile person that, we could not burden with anything. So it's just a lot of kind of things that are shifting. There's a lot of kind of losses, not only, and we talked a little bit about that last week, not only the loss of kind of physical loss of maybe body parts and your breast, but also the losses of opportunities or some of your dreams, or kind of the way you had pictured the future. So it's a rough ride. But I like what you both said, and you both kind of mentioned some things that are important to you and things that you're able to hold on to. And that's kind of the discussion that I want to be having today, is what are some ways that you can set goals that are consistent with your values and with the understanding that those values may be shifting after the diagnosis, but also taking into consideration your health, because you can not just ignore that you have cancer or that you have to go through surgery or that some things have changed. So I think kind of recognizing that you are different, that things are different is important. And I will say accepting it is important, but acceptance is a very difficult journey and it's not linear. Oftentimes, you may accept part of the circumstances, but not others. And one day you may accept certain things and the next day you're like, no, this is, excuse my French, but this is BS and I don't want any part of it. And Lakeisha, you were mentioning wanting to run away. So it's a very fluctuating thing to accept things, right? It's not a black or white thing. And I think I want to emphasize that because oftentimes, I know I'll hear it from, medical professionals or people on social media saying, you need to accept your new reality. Well, duh, yes. I don't have much of a choice here. But this is not easy, right? Yeah.
Right.
It's not easy. So I think, it's kind of I think remembering to be kind to ourselves and just we're doing the best we can. And it's kind of a day by day thing where there will be good days and there will be bad days, and having the expectation that there will be pockets of like happiness and moments. I always say that it's, we're always have that big expectation that as human beings, we should be happy and like, bubbly. But I think it's a big expectation. So instead kind of aiming for finding meaning and having pockets of parentheses of happiness is a lot more achievable. So I'm kind of getting off track, but yeah, a lot of things, and it's definitely an emotional roller coaster, kind of from the beginning to the end. So it kind of brings me to this point of discovering new ways to be with yourself and others, and and with the world, as far as what we're expecting from this wild ride, and kind of asking yourself, what are some ways that you've been showing up as a mom or as a partner or as a friend or an advocate in the community, and if being I'll take the example of being a mom, but being a mom and what it means to you is being present for your kids and being there, showing up in their life. How does having cancer or having that genetic predisposition or being a caregiver for someone who has cancer, how has that changed your ability to parent? So it kind of forces you, and this is not something that you ever wanted or asked, but it forces you to rethink the way you're parenting. And maybe being a mom and being present for your kids before meant taking them to all their extracurricular activities and driving them around. But then if you're dealing with pain or fatigue or like different medical appointments, maybe now it means, well, snuggling with your kids at bedtime and kind of reading books, or kind of remembering all their friends' birthday and having all the gifts ready and just kind of making sure that they know that you care for them and are still there, but in different ways. Or, I was talking to someone once saying that they kind of changed the kids' birthday parties to having, outside big party with bouncing castles and all that, to celebrating in bed and having breakfast in bed, like a special brunch type breakfast in bed where everyone was sharing stories and opening gifts, and it was a fun time as well. But it also was taking into consideration their health needs and just being fatigued and not being able to host or plan a party for 20 kids. And I think the way I see kind of being able to reconnect with who you are and kind of feeling grounded is to kind of tap into your values. And I think all of you alluded to that to some extent. And when life feels overwhelming and familiar, whether it's because you've been diagnosed with cancer or you just learned that you're BRCA1 or 2 positive, or because there's a pandemic that hits on top of life, because life does not stop for us to deal with, a pandemic. So kind of tapping into our values can be grounding, and it can help give us a sense of direction when everything feels overwhelming and just so very confusing. And before, I want to talk a little bit about values, kind of talk about what they are, but I kind of want to put you all on the spot and ask, what is your understanding of values, or what are some, what comes to mind when you think about values?
I would say my beliefs, like things that I hold important, like my standard, the way that I choose to like live my life, and things that I choose to instill in my kids. Those would be, that's what value means to me, I think.
Yes, you're absolutely right. This is, you kind of, yeah, you got it. Unlimited minutes. Good. Yes, it's exactly that. It's what you hold, important in life, what matters to you, the things, you mentioned standards and beliefs. Yes, all of the above. So that was a great definition. And I put a compass here because values are really about kind of the direction that you want to follow. And here, this is kind of how I separate them from goals. The values are the direction you follow. So it's kind of, as you said, your standards, your beliefs, what matters most to you in life, what you want to stand for. They really are at the core of who you are and what you believe. And they overall tend to be fairly stable. I would say that they don't really change much with circumstances. You want to be, go back to my example of being a mom, but being a good listener is important to you, showing up in your kid's life. This isn't likely that all of a sudden it's going to be something that's not important to you because you were diagnosed with cancer. But that being said, even if they're still there and important to you, the priority in your values may change, where, being a good mom maybe was more salient to you, and, partner, and also whatever the case might be. And all of a sudden, because of a stressful life event, your health kind of takes priority. This is what you need to focus on, in that season of your life. Focusing on resting and recovery and all of that doesn't mean that, being a good listener or showing up for your kids is not important, but you just need in that moment to focus on your health, if that makes sense. And values cannot be reached. It's not something that you can cross off your to-do list, right? You never stop being a good mom or a good listener, or, caring about your health. And those, like at the bottom are two examples. So I want to be present in my kid's life. I want to take care of myself and my health. And then kind of the goals are the things that you can cross off your to-do list. So they can change with circumstances quite a bit. And there are many ways in which you can address your core values by being flexible with your goals. So that's really where you see a lot more flexibility, and all kind of, here says taking my children to all their extracurricular activities, which I mentioned before, versus snuggling on the couch with the kiddos when maybe your energy levels are a little bit lower. And, kind of taking care of your health can look like running, doing Pilates and yoga. And maybe when you're doing chemo or other things, that's kind of what it looks like. Taking care of your health is being on top of doctor's appointments and doing your treatments and resting and asking for help. And, I like to take the example of Tracy as well with Brock is Strong, where the value, kind of the core value, or the core values, I should say, are to advocate and inform and support women, if I remember it correctly. And the way it was done, your goals for Brock is Strong were you had those photo shoots and kind of those events in the community, and with the pandemic kind of shutting everything down, you had to kind of readjust and make it more, online with Zoom calls and things like that.
Can everybody mute? I think there's feedback coming through from everybody. please. Perfect.
So that, I mean, I'm kind of repeating myself here, but the value is like, again, it's the direction, and the goals are the things that you can cross off your to-do list, like, crossing the river on your way west. And as Lakeisha, as you said, it's really about what do you want your life to stand for? What sort of qualities do you want to cultivate as a person? How do you want to be in your relationship with others, yourself, and the world? And let me see, we're doing good on time. Okay. So with that being said, and the way, I think the easiest way to think about or to help with identifying values, I often ask clients, okay, let's say it's your retirement party and all your friends and family and colleagues and, all the people that you've crossed paths with are attending, and they're kind of giving speeches. What would you want them to say about you? What would you want them to talk about you as, as far as you being a mom and a partner, a colleague, a boss, community member, citizen, a woman? What would you want to hear them say? So that's kind of, I think, one of the best way to think about, I guess, our core values and what we hold dear. All right, so, and then I want to do a little exercise. So those are kind of 4 categories, and some may be more relevant to you than others. And there are other categories as well, so it's not exhaustive, but I think it's a good starting point. So I thought we could take, some time to think about, for you to write down what it means to be, what values you have based on those 4 categories, and then we can have a discussion or share. And yeah, not think about goals quite yet, but just think about what values do you hold in those 4 categories, or if you want to add 1 category, that's fine as well. And let me give you a little bit more. So again, half personal growth, it's pretty broad, but it refers to your ongoing personal development just as a human being. It includes kind of physical health. I also like to include mental health, kind of risk factors as well, spirituality. I mentioned personal growth, but also nutrition, exercise, all those kind of things. And then work education refers to kind of any kind of paid work that you may be doing, but kind of more kind of broadly also any kind of volunteer work, kind of any advocacy work that you're doing in the community, any education as well if you're a student. So all those things that may kind of be part of your career. And then relationships, it's very encompassing. You can think about, what comes to mind oftentimes is being a mom, a child, a parent, a partner, a best friend, colleague, boss, any type of relationship that you can think of. And then leisure, any type of hobbies, ways that you find to relax or enjoy yourself. So if you could take, maybe I'll get, 3 to 5 minutes and think about those things and what they mean to you. Again, thinking about what it means for you to be a parent, a mom, a best friend, a partner, what it means to you to, to advocate. So again, whatever is relevant to you, but if you could jot down some ideas and some thoughts that come to mind, and I'll just be silent for the next few minutes, but feel free to, jump in and share something or share in the chat, or so I'll do it with you as well.
Are we gonna type them or are we gonna talk about them?
Whatever feels more comfortable.
Okay. Somebody can go ahead of me when they're ready and then I'll go second.
Tracy, if you want.
Tracy, I can go so that you can feel comfortable going.
Okay, go ahead. I always go first, right, Dr. Lucette? Don't I always go first normally?
Do.
I had a little trouble coming up with some values without actually making goals. I have trouble, I guess, separating them. So that was like the hard part of this for me. But health is protect my health. You know, at this point in my life, I was doing what I could to be as healthy as possible without taking out like things I enjoy. Like I'm not going to never have sugar or stuff like that. But at this point, just to protect my health going forward. For work and education, so COVID and cancer for me actually kind of happened at the same time. So pre that and pre kids, I was in a different line of work, and it was a combination of medical and athletic, but I was burnt out, and I told myself when I had kids I was not going to go back to that when I went back to work. So now for work and education, I value, or I want to value being happy and fulfilled in my work because I wasn't towards the end of it. And then get the education that I need to work towards that. Okay. Which I guess a goal from that was getting the certification that I got last weekend. Okay. For relationships, this whole thing has obviously made my relationship with my husband quite a roller coaster. Our 5-year anniversary was 2 days before my diagnosis. So be in a happy and healthy relationship with my husband. And we're like, our relationship the last few months has actually been really good, but I want to continue that. And then be the mom that my kids need. And leisure, actually take the time to do things for myself, because as a woman, as a mom, we usually put that last, and it needs to be a priority.
Yeah, so prioritizing your health and your well-being as well.
Yeah,
an important value that I hear here. And so you mentioned being pretty active, right? And running. What's important to you about running and being active? What do you?
A big part of it for me is actually for my mental health. My husband has joked, with some truth behind it, that he doesn't like me when I can't exercise. But it definitely is a release for me. And when I go running, like my brain, I'm one of those lucky people that their brains just kind of shut off when they run. I don't find it boring, or and it's almost like a meditation for me. So I feel better when I'm able to work out. Just like mentally, I feel more like myself, because it's just been such a part of my identity my whole life, but also physically feel better, when I feel stronger.
Yeah, so it sounds like those are also important values, kind of being strong, taking care of your mental health, kind of being active. And yeah, you're right, like running is a goal, or is kind of that's consistent with those values. Yeah. And thank you for sharing. I like what you said about kind of it's difficult to tease apart the goals and the values. It is very true. And I mean, they overlap. I mean, obviously the goals are the way we kind of tap into those values, or kind of vice versa. They feed those goals. But I think, you know, kind of one question that can help is always asking, what do you get out of that activity? And I had worked with a gentleman that was in a lot of pain after back surgery, and you know, he just missed playing golf. And so he would, you know, we kind of, what was it about golf that was so important that kind of made his, you know, brought a big smile on his face? And he had been able to say, well, it was about being outside. I just loved the outdoors, and I loved being with, you know, friends and in company. So it was not as much, you know, hitting a ball with that long stick, I don't even know what they're called, but it was more about kind of being with people. And I'm not a golfer. And yeah, being with people and kind of being outdoors. So even despite, you know, dealing with chronic pain, kind of, it was then a matter of how can we recreate that with the current limitations that you have? Are you able to, you know, go outside in your backyard and kind of, you know, soak in the sunshine and get some fresh air? Are you able to go for a short walk, or even like a drive through the forest? Because, you know, it was not in Florida. But so what are some of the ways that you're able to tap into being in nature and being with friends? But because again, if you're focusing on playing golf again, it may not happen right away, but there are other things that are more important in that activity. So I kind of went on a tangent, but that was also to exemplify what the purpose is with this exercise. It's also a way to, one, kind of better understand what is it about a certain activity that really kind of fed your soul, and how you may be able to address it in some other ways that also take into consideration your health issues or any other stressors like COVID, or, you know, other stuff. So I'll just stop talking now.
Sure. So I'll go. I also had a hard time differentiating, you know, the values and the goals together. So maybe I'm a little off, but I figured I'd go for it. So taking first, you know, health and personal, I feel like taking time to take care of my health and exercise more. Due to COVID and due to my circumstances, I definitely have let that go. And need to also honor myself more of like my personal growth and like what I've done and where I've come. And instead of saying like, this is what I'm going through, I need to kind of readdress that for that area. Relationships, you know, Tracy touched on, you know, going through treatment, you know, 5 years, 2 days later, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. You know, after going through what we've gone through and just some of my own childhood memories, you know, showing more love as an action and not saying it, I think is something that I really need to value more. And being in a relationship now and having an amazing better half, just showing it more. I think that I don't value that enough. And that is one of my goals that I'd like to change. But just growing up the way I did, I never got that. You know, I don't say that I'm having problems. I have an amazing, you know, better half by my side, but it definitely comes up a lot. And I felt like sharing that and just being the best mom that I can be in a relationship, you know, having been through a divorce and having a man in my life now that I never expected to ever meet or care for me or love me, and incorporating that more in the values and coming together as a family. And what can we do to build more healthier relationships, honesty, you know, just be together as one.
Honesty is an important value that I'm hearing here, and kind of communication and the way you communicate your love, but maybe also other things that come up in your life.
Definitely. I think that I never really knew love was an action. I hate to say that, I'm 38 years old and I am really just truly learning that. And it messes up, you know, your life and what you do and how you move forward and your partners feel or your family feels. You know, I think showing love, I truly understand now, as an action. So here I am going to set that goal for myself. You know, my work education, obviously I'm a huge advocate to BRCA Strong. I want to help women feel every day of my life that they're not alone. Jean coming on this morning, truly, honestly, you made my day. I never want that feeling for anybody to feel that they're alone. I know what it was like, finding out at 21 that I carried this gene, and here I am 38, still battling some little complications and stuff, but really knowing your breast reconstruction options and helping women feel that they're not alone, to me, is imperative. And my goal for 2021 is just to keep on going and not give up. And BRCA Strong really makes me happy. But like Lakeisha said, we got to separate it a little bit. And I definitely have that true dedication 24 hours a day, and hence relationship, problems, because all you think about is like, what can I do to continue to help others, but not help my relationship? So Lakeisha, you and I have to have a heart to heart so you can kind of guide me a little bit, because I definitely need that. And
it's funny because usually I don't do cancer stuff Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. I'm like, these are my off days. This is the weekend. But today I had to come on because it's Tracy. So I'm like, I still got to get on, even though I broke my own rule. But I just have to do that for my own sanity. I'm like, I can't do it every single day. I mean, I live it every day, but do I have to do something with it every day too,
So we'll definitely have a conversation soon.
Yeah.
This is so important. I feel that we do a whole workshop on this, like a one-day thing about setting boundaries. And I think, that's an important value. This is something kind of maintaining boundaries. I would put that in the health, personal growth, maybe all of them. And then finding ways, like goals to do that. And I think the goal of like Friday, Saturday, Sunday are off. That's really in line with that value of like maintaining boundaries. I love that.
Then my leisure is to go to the beach, to be in nature, and to take time for me if I can. And unfortunately right now, I forgot to take that time for me, and kind of, as we're all here together in this, kind of lost myself in the last 8 weeks as I've just struggled. So kind of taking that back to say, let's take time for us and refocus, and take that time for myself to kind of give myself some clarity, because obviously without clarity, it's kind of hard to struggle. So it's, the struggle's real. And the goal that I'm going to make out of it is like, what can I do to gain that clarity back? What have I lost that I'm now missing to move forward? So that's me.
Tracy, and I love all of these, and I'm hearing kind of the being in nature value, and go to the beach. It might be one goal that's also in line with that, or going for a walk outside. And that's an important one. It's good for your mental health. Just be outside, and you can run if you like running, or walk, or just sit there. Thank you.
Anybody else want to go?
I'll go real quick. I have to log off soon, so I'll go really quick. I think for health and personal growth, I wrote down, I too had a problem between goals and values. Like I think that it's sort of, I kind of like mixed them in. But for health and personal growth, I wrote down, my main goal for that is to try to get back to NED, no evidence of disease. It's been challenging for me. This metastatic diagnosis is very different from my first and second stage 1 diagnosis. So it takes a toll on me, not only physically, because I look fine, but like I have, my hands, my feet, my mental is like all over the place. So I really, in addition to taking the time to try to get back as healthy as possible, also to work on my mental well-being and my mental health. And I did that. I started seeing a therapist a few months ago. I haven't gone back this year, but I've seen her 3 times so far. And I feel like it helped me. It gave me an outlet to have somebody else to vent to besides my husband and my daughter, because I live with them. So they always get like the grunt of it. They always get when I'm in a bad mood, when I'm crying, when I'm sad. So I feel like it is important to speak to someone else, to try not to always put my health and I call it burdens. They say it's not, but on them. But because they live with me, they're the ones who, have to take on it. So I think for health and personal growth, that's something that I want to try to work on. I mean, ultimately, my ultimate goal for health is to be back, no evidence of disease. I mean, that's what I want more than anything in like this world. So I'm working towards that. As far as relationships, I put to continue to have strong, everlasting relationships. I think I have a really good relationship with my family. We're all very close. My husband and my daughter, who obviously I live with, I'm a little closer because we live together, and it's more of an intimate, relationship being in the house with them. But I want to continue to just continue to grow with them as a mom, as a wife, but also just as a family, and continue to do things that we love to do and to be happy with each other. And
Growth, having fun and being happy. Those are kind of
yeah,
strong.
exactly. Like today, she's like, can we go to Cold Stone? And I'm thinking today, like, I don't feel like going to no goddamn Cold Stone. But I'm like, you know what? No, we're gonna go. We're gonna go. You know what I mean? But like, do I really feel like it? No, but I know it's something that we should do, even though it's so little. It's something so minor, but just us two going together and getting ice cream, like little things like that is just, I feel it's important. And as far as leisure, I had a panic attack yesterday because I told my husband, like, I am so with COVID and being in the house all the time, and I'm out on disability, so I'm not working. It's like I'm always in the house. I'm never getting dressed. I'm never doing anything. It's driving me crazy. I'm like, soon as it gets warm, I'm out. Like, I need leisure. I need to go to the beach. I need some sun. I need to be out. I need to get dressed. I need to look cute. I'm like, everywhere I go, they're going to be like, why is she so dressed up? Because I haven't dressed up for a year and I want to get dressed up now. So I'm like, I'm like fiending to get on a plane to go somewhere. Like, I feel like I need it. And being inside for so long, I feels like it's just took so much away from us. It's like, I just want to be out. I just want to go outside in nice weather and have fun and do the things that we normally like to do. I am fiending for that so bad.
No, I think I hear you. And what I've noticed is that I always encourage patients to, or people to dress up and just, put on some makeup. If that makes you feel good, do it. It doesn't have to be for anyone else but you, and just, you can be at home all dressed up. But if you're like, okay, well, I put on some makeup, or I wore my favorite blouse, I'm not even going to work, it doesn't matter. That can help boost your mental health a little bit. So it's fine. You don't, give yourself the excuse. You are the excuse.
I'm like, where's she going? Why is she so dressed up?
It's my Netflix, okay? And that's fine.
Like, listen, I've been waiting a whole year to wear outfits, okay?
Guess you haven't gained the COVID weight then, Lakeisha.
When we went out to dinner on my husband's birthday last week, I was texting a friend pictures of like a million different outfits, because I was like, I feel like I'm going to prom. Like, I get to finally like do my hair, put on makeup, put on real clothes. So I know exactly what you mean.
Yep.
I have 2 minutes left. I have another meeting at 11. I'm sorry. I don't know if Jean, there was anything that we can help you with, or feel free to, whatever is helpful to share or not to share, but just wanted to give you a chance.
No, I'm good right now.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
This is all recorded too, just so everybody knows, so you can go back and listen. But I do want to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Lucette so much for her time and dedication in creating the workshops. And I think, Lakeisha, maybe I'll copy an email with Dr. Lucette and we can come up with like some good topics in the future of like setting boundaries and stuff. Yeah. And we could cross promote it and do it together. I mean, obviously we share the same, stuff. I'd love to be able to set up something with boundaries. I think a lot of us can benefit from it. I think today I really would like to say thank you so much, Dr. Lucette. Obviously it's no medical advice, but sometimes we just need to hear it from other women or from therapists, or, not giving medical advice, but just taking us out of that zone. Like this morning when I woke up, I was like, oh my gosh, are any of the board members going to be on the call today? Because if they are, I'm not going to attend the call. That was my attitude, right? But now that I'm here and I did this call, I feel like I can get through my day in like a clear peace of mind, because now I really know what I need to focus on. And like I said, sometimes, writing, listening to music, I know my outlet is listening to Mary J. Blige for like 5 hours. No phone calls, just taking that time and listening to every soundtrack that she's ever made, just because it's real, honesty, raw words. So whatever that outlet may be, and if it's texting me or calling me, or you guys need anything, feel free to do anything that I can. You can always reach out to me and I can connect you with other women if I can't guide you or I'm not helpful. We're never offended. But, you know, most importantly, I just want to thank you again, Dr. Lucette, for giving us, you know, out of the box, different ideas on what to do and how to push through. And I think that that's imperative in our community. So thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I mean, I love those, you know, connecting with people. And if you need, you know, to get interest, those are my ways you can reach me, or, you know, you can get to me through Tracy as well.
And if you don't follow her on IG, make sure you do, because she always has these awesome charts like today that she had, rules and myths.
I've had to set boundaries though, and I haven't been on Instagram for a little while because I'm trying to take my own advice. But yeah.
Well, listen, we need that inspiration. Just do it once a week, okay? Because your posts are absolutely amazing and they help so many people in our community. And you know,
All right. I'll think about something, Tracy, for you.